Mikey Madison turns down Ryan Gosling's Star Wars movie. Mission Impossible falls to third place at the box office. Stranger Things 5 released an epic teaser trailer for the upcoming season. Wicked for Good brings the emotions in a new trailer. Blumhouse got the rights to the SAW franchise and IP, and so much more. Let's get into this week's movie news. There are so many big topics to talk about. Let me take you away with everything that you've missed so you can get up to speed with film and TV this week. First of all, let's go over box office. Lilo and Stitch, #1 at the box office yet again, pulled in $34 million in its fourth weekend at the box office, I believe, or third weekend, closing in on $700 million internationally already. It is a huge hit, as usual, with animated films turning into live action. They're generally really good, especially if it's a loved movie like Lilo and Stitch. Ballerina opens this weekend to a pretty solid score in box office of $25 to about $30 million. This movie had a pretty high budget, around the low 90s million dollars, so they need quite a bit to become profitable. So far, this first weekend is bigger than the first John Wick box office, but it still has some climbing to do. I saw this movie a couple weeks ago at the London World Premiere. It's an awesome time. Ana de Armas is fantastic as the lead in this movie. The action is fantastic as well. I think they did a really good job with this movie. It's a spin-off, of course, but it feels like its own thing. It takes place during John Wick 3, and Keanu Reeves comes back as Baba Yaga John Wick for not just a cameo. He's got quite a bit of screen time and does some great action, so check it out for sure. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning has kind of plummeted quite a bit. Third weekend, it's down to $14 million at the domestic box office. That's not what Paramount wants from this film, which just broke $400 million internationally, but this movie had a $400 million budget, meaning to turn a profit after ticket sales, after studio cuts and everything like that, they need to pull $800 to $900 million for this movie to be profitable. So this movie's going to probably justify Paramount not funding another Mission Impossible film. This was just one of the biggest movies ever made, and I loved it. I had a great time, but it clearly is not going to make them much money, if not any money at all, unfortunately, because studio audiences just didn't come out in droves to this film, which they kind of haven't the last two Mission Impossible films. But of course, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 was killed at the box office by Barbenheimer, so they only had about a week in IMAX theaters to themselves. Real quick, this episode was brought to you by MoviePosters.com. Check out this amazing The Phoenician Scheme poster over my right shoulder, provided by MoviePosters.com, as well as the light box it's inside of, which is incredible movie theater quality. Use our code Raiders10 at checkout for MoviePosters.com today to get 10% off your order. Plus, we have an affiliate link in the episode description of this podcast episode, also in our Instagram bio. That link will get us commission on every single purchase. MoviePosters.com, the best place to get your posters today. Karate Kid Legends, 4th at the box office. It has earned $9 million in its second week, and it's already approaching $60 million at the box office internationally, which is really good. That movie had a budget around $30-40 million, not super expensive, a mid-budget IP film, and they're probably already hitting the green on this movie, which is really good news for them. The Phoenician Scheme, Wes Anderson's latest film, had its first weekend wide release. It pulled in $5.7 million. It was limited release before this in a couple big cities here and there, but now it's big international release, pulled in 5.7 domestically. Final Destination Bloodlines. This movie just does not quit. It keeps making money constantly. It's still pulling $1 million a day. And in its, I think, 6th weekend or 5th weekend at the box office, pulled another $5 million. It's getting pretty close to $250 million internationally. And on a budget below, I think, $80 million. That's huge, huge news for that movie and that IP. Next up, and 6th place or 7th place at the box office is Bring Her Back, pulled in another $3 million at the domestic box office. In addition to Ballerina, there's some other new releases out that I've seen. Dangerous Animals, which I saw the LA premiere of. I had a great time. Serial killer shark movie. That's basically all you need to know about that film. It's a bloody good time. Lots of laughs, lots of fun. Obviously, some horror tropes and cliches here and there. But overall, it's a pretty unique and fun movie, especially for the summertime box office and summertime blockbusters. Horror, sharks, serial killers. It's fun. Also, The Ritual is a new horror movie coming out this weekend. It is an exorcism film about the most documented exorcism in American history. I saw it a couple weeks ago. Didn't love it. You know, it's a bit of a slow start, and I didn't love the documentary office-esque style filmmaking of constant zooms crashing in and focus pulls. It kind of took away any suspense and fear built, but they approach exorcism from a psychological standpoint, which I respect them trying to do something different versus always it being supernatural or of another world or other plane. And then Predator, Killer of Killers is the new Predator international animation film streaming on Hulu. All right, let's get into some big topics. First of all, Mia Goth has been cast in Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling's Star Wars Starfighter alongside Ryan Gosling, and it's reported that Mikey Madison actually turned down this villain role due to a pay dispute. Now, Mikey, obviously coming off her big Oscar win and meteoric rise to fame and stardom with that film from Anora, has yet to really be seen on the screen. She's already taken a job playing, I can't remember the name of the movie, but she's going to play a mermaid, a reptilia, as well as she's still like kind of finding out what her next big project's going to be after the Oscar win. So apparently she turned down this Star Wars villain role in Star Wars Starfighter because of pay disputes. But Mia Goth, I'm assuming, has taken over that villain role because she's been cast alongside Ryan Gosling. And this movie, Star Wars Starfighter, is due to get underway production in England 2025 before the year is over. They're shooting for a 2027 film release in theaters. I think this is the right thing to do for Disney. They need to get Star Wars back in theaters ASAP. We have Mandalorian and Grogu coming out in 2026. But after that, I think it's such a great decision to get arguably the biggest star on the planet probably right now with Ryan Gosling, the lead of your next big Star Wars movie, because Ryan's already kind of transitioned into his sort of Harrison Ford era. He had his great run as being the big indie actor in so many interesting small independent films, and then he did a bunch of those Steve McQueen, stoic, action star, kick-ass, the coolest guy on camera roles, and now he's sort of entering that Harrison Ford, big budget, big blockbuster, kind of family-friendly for the most part, charismatic, just leaning into his great strengths as a performer and actor, and that's always what Harrison was. So I like how this is like a new era. Back on Mikey Madison, she's also in talks to star in a new Edgar Allan Poe adaptation at A24, The Mask of the Red Death. The story will follow a prince who attempts to avoid a dangerous plague known as the Red Death by hiding in his abbey. So she's in talks for that to be her next big role after Reptilia. Stranger Things 5. We got a great first teaser trailer for this upcoming season. The majority of this teaser was really obviously shown at Netflix's Tudum. It blends a bunch of nostalgic flashbacks from previous seasons, previous footage from every season, actually showing a lot of focus on that first season. And it also shows that Will Byers seems to be playing a prominently featured role in Season 5. He's trapped in the Upside Down, reinforcing the importance of defeating Vecna. His arc, it's going to be described obviously as this big coming-of-age journey for all of the kids, but it suggests with this trailer that he's going to be the emotional and narrative focus of the Season 5, as well as his mother, Joyce, played by Winona Ryder, who seems to be ready to continue being a great protector of her child and her family and the kids. She's shown wielding an axe in this, but also what I liked about this teaser was the emotional depth that Will is hitting. And there's a sequence at the end where they show maybe 2 minutes of footage from all of the previous seasons connected to the first film, you know, the dance and everything they went through in that first season. And then Season 2, Season 3, Season 4 getting bits in there, but then sort of ending with Will just screaming his head off in complete terror and complete fear. I'm really excited to see how the narrative arcs of the rest of the characters are going to grow in this film, because this will be the final season of Stranger Things. I'm expecting 11 to have just a really great heroic arc. I'm guessing she'll be the key to saving the world at the end of the day and defeating Vecna, who's going to return with high stakes. I really loved Season 4 of Stranger Things. I thought that the production value was absolutely off the charts. Now, they're going to release Stranger Things 5 in a different way, a new version of volumes. So they're doing Volume 1, which will release on November 26th. Volume 2, which will release on Christmas Day. And then the finale of Stranger Things Season 5 will release on New Year's Eve. So usually they've been doing volume releases twice. Now they're doing a finale on New Year's Eve. And we can expect, I'm sure, that the finale would probably run close to 2 hours because at least Season 4, every episode of Stranger Things seemed to be basically like a movie. I'm super excited about this. The conclusion should be epic and massive in scale, and it's going to be really exciting. Let's get into some DC superhero and villain news. Clayface, the much anticipated and talked about adaptation from Mike Flanagan, is casting its lead for the film, and there are 4 people in final talks to play Clayface, including George McKay, Tom Blythe, Jack O'Connell, and Leo Woodall. Really, really great actors here, and I think George McKay is a really, really great lead. He obviously led 1917, which is a great, great performance. Jack O'Connell, coming off of Sinners, is probably, I think, the front runner right now. Tom Blythe most recently was in Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I would say George McKay and Jack O'Connell are the top 2 favorites for me personally. I think Jack might pull away because he's just getting so much popularity with Sinners after that great villain performance, and I'm sure this is going to be a very nuanced role. Mission Impossible 8, again, I talked about the box office. It's had quite a bit of a drop down to 3rd place. However, there's this incredible behind-the-scenes video of Tom Cruise doing this wild parachute stunt from Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which is arguably maybe the second most dangerous stunt he did in the film. Now, in the movie, obviously, the biplane stunt is the show-stopping sequence in the film, but that movie ends with him parachuting and jumping off the plane. And what's so incredible is they did, I think, 12 takes of him using a parachute that he lights on fire himself, falls from the sky for several seconds with the parachute lit on fire. If you saw the movie, you saw this as well. And then has to abandon that parachute that's been lit, free falling with no protection besides a backup parachute, which he then unleashes to save himself. This is in the movie. It's fantastic. But this is one of the most dangerous stunts I've ever seen. The behind-the-scenes footage is just shocking because this guy is a maniac, and I love every second and how much he puts into everything he does. Let's move on to Wicked for Good. I enjoyed Wicked. I thought it was pretty fun. I thought the production value was phenomenal. Yeah, I think the sets were beautiful, and the acting was terrific, and the singing was great. I never knew the story, really. I never saw the plays. But Wicked for Good dropped its first full trailer. It looks really exciting. It looks very emotional, more action, and it's gonna, it looks like, tie the knot of the connection between the leads with Elphaba and Glinda, as well as, I'm sure, give us the source of how the Wicked Witch gets destroyed and melted. Plus, there are several shots of Dorothy and her friends who traverse the yellow brick road and approaching the wizard and interacting with the wizard. So I'm not sure if that's in the play or in the book originally, but I think that if it isn't, they're probably using it to just add a little bit more nostalgia to the world, to the film, to the franchise in general, because that's the big juice for the IP is Dorothy and her friends that she meets along her way to find the wizard. So Wicked for Good dropped a great trailer. Blumhouse, they are getting control of yet another horror franchise. They've gotten several. Obviously, they have the Halloween franchise wrapped up, but Blumhouse is acquiring the rights to the Saw IP and franchise, with Lionsgate still involved as a partner creatively. The franchise is now back with James Wan. This is all according to Deadline. Blumhouse just always making great decisions. They really know what they're doing when it comes to selling movies and making movies off of IPs. They're not always the best. You know, I haven't loved more of the recent the more recent Halloween movies, but they know what people want, and they are killing it in horror right now. In addition to Stranger Things, when Netflix dropped a little teaser of the upcoming seasons for Wednesday and Squid Game, all releasing this year. Superman dropped some great posters for the upcoming film, including Clark Kent getting his own poster, Lex Luthor, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, the Engineer, Rick Flag Sr., Metamorpho, Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, Crypto, Hawkgirl, and Perry White. Can't wait for this film. It's not that far away. We're a month away from Superman hitting theaters. And I think the marketing campaign's been really great. They've been dropping also some BTS nuggets here and there, as well as we got a poster for the robots as well. And one of the BTS teasers recently showcases how a lot of the robots in Superman's world are practical. They built these robots. They're really incredible. Alan Tudyk is the voice of the robots, as well as the main robots. Robot number 4, I believe, is what James Gunn called it. So they do mocap for him as well, but also they have a lot of practical robots, which is really cool. So more posters. 28 weeks later, I think the best marketing movie so far of 2025 dropped these gorgeous, amazing posters for their characters. Also, Danny Boyle has confirmed that Cillian Murphy will be in the second and third films of the 28 Years Later trilogy. I think that's a smart decision. Don't put him in the first film. Have your new characters lead the film, which will lead into the second and third films, where I'm guessing Cillian Murphy will be the main character, hopefully, because I would love to see Jim back in that world. Street Fighter news. This movie is gearing up for production very, very soon. I believe it's going to shoot this month. And Walton Goggins is in talks to star as Bison in the Street Fighter movie, who's the big bad. We all remember that original Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Bison is iconic for comic book villains, and I would love to see Goggins play this role. He's great. New trailer dropped for Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey as well. This is the first feature one, starring Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. The film follows two people who go on a magical journey by entering doorways that transport them to their pasts. Hits theaters September 19th. This feels like a very light, hopeful, and romantic film. Two huge stars. Margot, this is her first movie in theaters on screen since Barbie. And obviously she could do whatever she wanted. She's also become such a big producer in the industry as well, having such control over her career. So kudos to her. And I think this is a really great choice for her to do post-Barbie. And it looks very enjoyable and hopeful, like I said, and warm. And, something that we can all relate to. If you got the opportunity to look at your past, at your interactions with people in high school, college, your family in the past, what would you do when you look at that? So the first time there's been a movie like this, but I think it looks really terrific. There's going to be a couple video game adaptations announced here. First of all, we have Mass Effect that's been in talks for a while. The live-action Mass Effect is moving forward at Prime Video with Doug Jung hired as showrunner. And Doug most recently did Mindhunter, which is an awesome show. So, Prime Video usually is, for me, a hit or miss when it comes to adaptations, but Doug is a great showrunner. Hopefully they pull that off, because Mass Effect is a very beloved game. I loved that game when I was a teenager, so hopefully they nail it. Martin Scorsese news like usual. Martin Scorsese does not watch movies in public anymore. Peter Travers says Scorsese told him that audiences talk and go on their phones too much during filming now. I'm with you, Marty. There's a bit too much talking sometimes, and the screens thing is interesting. I go to a lot of theaters, and I go to see movies every week. And usually it's fine, and you're kind of adjusted to it. I'm used to it now. But it always does shock me, especially I'm very fortunate. I get to go to a lot of early screenings and a lot of releases that haven't come out yet. Or I saw a movie last week that doesn't come out for a year. And you'd be shocked how many times people are just looking at their phones. And it always blows my hair back, especially those early invites where they ask you, please don't go on your phone. This is very early access. I'm always very grateful to be invited, but it still blows my hair back that people, even at these special early screenings, take their phones out, and they, within 5 minutes of a movie starting, they're just going through texts or Instagram and stuff like that. So, Marty, I feel you. I still go to theaters in person because there's no better experience for me. But Martin, I'm sure, has the resources to be able to go and see movies in private at theaters whenever he can, I bet. Tom Felton has been cast as Draco Malfoy, not in a movie or TV show, but in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and its 19-week run in New York City on Broadway. I saw this play earlier this year in Los Angeles at the Pantages. It's phenomenal. The production is really incredible. Lots of magic on stage with illusions and practical effects. And I really enjoyed the story for the most part. The second half, after intermission, the story kind of nosedives for me. But overall, the first half hour, my mouth was on the floor, jaw dropped. And I think this is cool. You know, Tom Felton, of all the original cast, seems to be the one that's never let go of that world, let go of his role. He's always loved it. He gets a lot of flack and hate online because he still loves the world of Harry Potter and still identifies as Draco in a lot of ways and loves it. You know, he's always at theme park announcements and releases and openings, gift shop openings, all kinds of stuff. He loves Harry Potter still. So kudos to him. He seems very happy. He's living his best life. He gets to play Draco again as an adult. He's an adult in the play. The play is focused on his child and on his son Scorpius, as well as Harry and Ginny's son Albus. They're the main leads of the play. So he's an adult. He's not playing like a kid Draco again. But kudos to Tom Felton. He seems like he's living his best life. The Fantastic Four First Steps dropped a new teaser trailer, which promises and showcases a lot more action, as well as the Thing driving their flying vehicle, which is a lot of fun, it looks like, as well as some new posters, plus teasing baby Franklin, who, by my quick research, is a crazy OP-powered being in the world of the comic books of the Fantastic Four. So I'm pretty excited about this film. There are some rumors of poor test screenings recently and reshoots in May to fix the ending. I don't know how true those are. Hopefully they're not true, and hopefully we get a banger on our hands from Marvel going forward with this film. Noah Hawley's Alien Earth dropped a new trailer premiering August 12th on Hulu. You know, the Alien franchise is just going to keep getting milked over and over again, so we just have to hope, like all other IPs, that they do a good job with the adaptations. You know, this one I'm 50-50 on. I'm curious. It looks really great. It looks aesthetically just like Alien Romulus did a great job making you feel like you're in the first Alien movie. This one is on Earth, obviously. Alien Earth, a ship crash lands after gathering 4 of the most dangerous species in the universe, specimens on the universe, and it crash lands, and obviously we're going to get xenomorphs on the planet. But there are some things about that are a bit head-scratchers. The main character is an android, a synthetic. However, she was a human who had her consciousness transferred into an android synthetic. And if this movie takes place before other films, why don't they just do that in the future Alien movies that come out chronologically after this? Why aren't all synthetics past humans? It's just one of those things that it'll be interesting to see. They're just trying to do something different, so I will stay optimistic about this show because I love Alien. It's one of my top 4 favorite movies of all time. Another video game that was released for a trailer, which I want to talk about because it's movie related, is James Bond, the 007 First Light video game, dropped a trailer. This releases in 2026. It looks pretty fucking cool. I don't really play video games that often, but, you know, the GTA 6 trailer looked great. This one looks really fun as well. So I might have to play this game. I love James Bond. It's more of an origin story for James and is going through the program, becoming a secret agent. And it looks like they hit all the beats of a classic Bond movie. Just like, it's ironic with Indiana Jones game. Like, you know, we get this great classic story for Indiana Jones in a game. We can't get that in the new movies. Same thing with James Bond, great classic James Bond adventure and character in the game. Hopefully we get that for the movies coming out in the next year or two. We'll see. One of my favorite horror movies that came out in the last about 5 or 6 years was Ready or Not. It's a great independent horror film. Samara Weaving stars in it. It's fantastic. There's a BTS first look at Ready or Not, Here I Come, the sequel, with Samara Weaving and newcomer Catherine Newton, who's joined the cast with her. This was at theaters April 10th, 2026. They're covered in blood. Let's go. Artificial is a new film that just got cast, and this is going to be Luca Guadagnino's next movie for Amazon. It's going to star Andrew Garfield, Monica Barbaro, who I believe are dating, and Yura Borisov. I think this is the first movie Yura's been cast in since the Anora acclaim. The film follows a story involving OpenAI focused on the firing and rehiring of CEO Sam Altman, played by Garfield. So it looks like Andrew Garfield just can't get away from playing executives of tech companies. There is, speaking of Artificial, a bit of a controversial story. Couldn't find too much detail about what's going on here, but this involves Lionsgate and AI. And like we keep saying on the show, AI is just going to be more and more prevalent. Last year was the big reveal of, oh, we're kind of using AI in the industry. We're thinking about it, even though we have been using it. But now I think studios are going to keep ramping up their AI involvement after the first outcry last year. Lionsgate Vice Chairman Michael Byrne says they're considering how AI can be used to change existing films into being more kid-friendly or animated. To quote him, now we can say, do it in anime, make it PG-13. 3 hours later, they'll have a movie. So, obviously, I think the biggest con to this is, it sounds like they're going to take a movie that they own the rights to and that produced in the past, and just tell AI to make an animated version, a kid version, every kind of version you could for that film, which on paper seems like a good idea from a business model, but from an audience perspective, no matter what, it's going to turn a ton of people off, but also it's going to lack the human element, as well as it's just going to feel like it's going to destroy whatever that original movie was. And obviously the milking of IPs is bad enough with reboots, legacy sequels, off the chain, constantly being produced. That's like the number one thing in Hollywood is let's take an IP from the past and make 5 movies out of it and try to franchise it. That we have to deal with, but now it's going to be even worse where now you take all of those movies and you make 10 different versions of a movie, it sounds like, in different styles. I think it's just constantly what's going to keep happening is the dilution of the original brand or the original movie is just going to get worse and worse to the point where that original movie won't matter anymore and it won't have the same feeling and same love that the audience had once for it. For example, if you did this with Indiana Jones, you made 10 different versions of Indiana Jones, it's going to dilute the franchise and dilute the meaning and what Indiana Jones means to us all, in my opinion. But some people will probably like it. Split Fiction is another video game that is getting an adaptation at Amazon MGM. Sydney Sweeney's in talks to star. This will be directed by John M. Chu. Now, Split Fiction is a co-op video game where the screen's literally split, and each player gets one screen, and you're going on the same adventure on the same maps, but with different styles and aesthetics oftentimes. I wonder if they'll actually split the screen in the movie, not the whole time, but maybe for a significant portion of it, because then Sydney would need a co-lead to match her character. But, I think that'd be pretty interesting, and John Chu, awesome director, great choice there. Allie Clark is a new film, also at Amazon MGM. Viola Davis will star in this thriller. The film follows a woman who goes on a perilous inquiry into an international conglomerate following the suspicious death of a close friend. Another biopic here of a very violent person. We have Unabomb. Jacob Tremblay will star as the Unabomber in a new Netflix thriller, Unabomb. The film follows Kaczynski's transformation from Harvard prodigy to the infamous Unabomber. Well, speaking of Jacob Tremblay, he was just in The Life of Chuck, which I saw last week. Terrific film. I loved it. I believe it comes out next week in theaters, so I can't recommend The Life of Chuck enough. It was just a very inspiring, hopeful, life-affirming film that was really beautiful and poignant. We got a new trailer for Freakier Friday, the movie we all have been wanting for so long. This hits theaters August 8th. It looks fine, guys. It looks fine. We got another new trailer for Megan 2.0. I'm locked in for Megan 2.0. This hits theaters June 27th. I saw the new trailer in theaters as well, and I like how Blumhouse is just like, fuck it. Let's go for it. Let's make Megan anti-hero, superhero, whatever. Who cares? I think this is kind of the right direction to go, and it should be interesting, but it looks very funny. A couple more stories left. Ma 2 is going to get a budget in production. This is going to be Octavia Spencer returning in her role as Ma in the horror movie from 8 or 9 years ago. Tulsa King, a spin-off series, is set in New Orleans, in the works at Paramount+. Samuel L. Jackson will set to star in the lead role of this TV series. And 2 final bits of news. Kiss of the Spider-Woman, the first trailer for Kiss of the Spider-Woman starring Jennifer Lopez and Diego Luna has released. The film follows a man who tries to escape the horrors of imprisonment by imagining films, all starring a classic screen actress named Ingrid Luna. This is based off a stage play as well. in theaters October 10th. And the final bit of news is Barney related. Io Debris confirms she is writing the Barney movie for A24 with Daniel Kaluuya producing. Daniel was trying to get this made a while ago, but now Io's on board and she's writing. And to quote her, she said, "I was just thinking of what are the movies that I want to make, so I just had the idea, and then we started building it together." And it should be interesting. I hope it goes in a hard R comedy direction. You know, Io, I think she's a terrific performer, but she does have plenty of writing experience. She used to do stand-up. So I think that she's a good choice to write, I'm guessing, what would be a dark comedy, hopefully, for A24, this Barney movie. And that wraps up movie news. If you missed Anthony, he's in Austria. He's in Vienna. I'll be meeting up with him in Greece in a couple weeks. So you got me solo today. As usual, do all of the things. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave those comments. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. Become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Instagram and TikTok are so integral to us getting these cool jobs like interviewing Keanu Reeves and Ana de Armas a couple weeks ago, which was so fun. Our Robert Pattinson interview. We only get those jobs because you all engage with our content on TikTok, on Instagram, leaving those comments, sharing us in your stories. It's so integral to our growth, as well as just getting really cool opportunities that we're so grateful of. That wouldn't be possible without all of you supporting us and helping us out. So keep engaging, keep commenting. If you see our stories, just drop a like. That's all you have to do as well. That helps with engagement so much and helps our content get seen by new people. And as always, go to movieposters.com to get 10% off your order today. Use our coupon code Raiders10 and our affiliate link in the description of this episode. Take care, everybody. This episode was brought to you by our chosen one patrons, Jacob Kostler and Nicholas Martin. Thanks so much, boys. Raiders of the Lost Podcast is a mirror image production. Sound mixing done by Jacob Kostler. Opening music by Chase Jackson.